Happy Monday, degenerates. How's everybody doing today? Welcome back to the Die Hard MMA podcast. Your host, as always, sitting here behind the camera, your boy Clint. We're talking about UFC Vegas 92 this week. We are coming off of, I don't want to call it a rough week. I'm not rocking the baby blues. We didn't get the dub at UFC St. Louis, but we should have. We should have. We ended up coming on the official record down a half unit. I ended up making a live bet on Mr. Billy Goff. That didn't go my way, and that really was the deciding factor. If I hadn't pulled the trigger on Billy, or if he had gotten the nod on that decision, it's a good night. The other one, just to go straight on into the recap here, folks, Alex Bruce Leroy Caceres was robbed blind. Now, I am not the guy who claims fights are fixed. It happens. It's few and far between. There's matchups. There's people the UFC would prefer to win, but fixed fights are something that's few and far between. That one I am extremely skeptical that those scorecards were written before the fight ever took place, because 30-27 should be illegal in that fight. It was a 29-28 no matter which person you scored it for, and there's no way either man could ever get a 30-27, and Alex Caceres beat the brakes off that kid for 2 straight rounds. Round 2 and round 3 were both very clearly Alex Caceres rounds, and the fact that every single judge scored round 3 for the hometown kid. And the other thing is the line movement. You know, the fact that he was way too big of a favorite to begin with, but money just kept on pouring in on him. There was never any pushback. The line never moved back the other way. It was like when TJ Dillashaw fought Aljamain Sterling for the title, and I just kept on re-betting TJ. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. He should be the favorite. He's going to win this fight. The line just kept on moving back the other way. Somebody somewhere would hit. Somebody knew his shoulder was out. People were piling in on the other side because they knew he was going in there with one arm. In hindsight, it makes sense. Man, that line taking like a nosedive from like minus 200 to like minus 260 just before the fight tips off. It's like, how are it makes sense now. It makes sense now. I'm pretty sure I know what happened, but I'll leave it. I'll get off the horse. We had a good night overall. The reads were on point. I got a little too fancy with Esteban Ribovics. Should have just taken him on the money line. It was a cheap enough price. Could have just taken him by KO. That was plus 110. Would have been no problem right there, but I went and tried to see if Terrence McKinney could survive round 1 and went rounds 2 and 3 for a big score. That's me just getting too fancy. Had the right read, had the right play, made the wrong bet. Got lucky. I get shit all the time for people being like, oh, you'll never admit when you made a bet. Guys, Tisha Pennington, I think, won that fight. She was the right side betting wise. The line I played with Tabitha Ricci was brutal. Absolutely got lucky in that spot. Grateful to have that one bounce my way. But as you can see on this exact card, it bounced against me already. So yeah, things even out in sports betting, right? That's how it goes. Chase Hooper had essentially every single thing. My pride, my money, drinking bets, everything. I was all in on Chase Hooper. I know my guy Lou's got to be in the chat right about now. He made a advertisement bet. That's a new one for me here, an advertisement bet. Lou is going to be an official member representing Bet Openly for UFC 302 now because of that bet. So he's going to have to rep Bet Openly for us for freebies because Chase Hooper went ahead and got the damn thing done. And then we knew it was going to be Buckley and Lewis. One more thing before we get to UFC Vegas 92. Are y'all ready to admit that I was right? Are you all ready to admit that I was correct? Nursultan Ruzabumev got everything I told you was going to happen to him against Joaquin Buckley. And if If he had not eye poked my guy Cedric Dumas, I would be sleeping on a bed of cash. The man has a right hand that he doesn't know how to set up and really only tries to explode and intercept his opponents coming in. And when he can't do that within the first 3 minutes of a fight, he has no plan B. If he can't Kimura you, then you are not going to get caught by this man. And I know it was a short fight, and I know Dumas got hit once or twice, but for the final 60 seconds of that fight, he wasn't getting hit. He had the range, he had the timing, and this man cannot win a fight if it gets past the first round. Nursultan Ruzabamev is going to be a guy that we fade again. It's going to be delightful because people still are giving him more credit than he deserves. Thank you, Joaquin Buckley. And with that, we will go ahead and bring in this week's guest. Guys, I've got none other than the co-host of the parlay, the everyone's favorite parlay betting show on the internet today. We've got him, MMA line mover, JB, the Jewish bettor, goes by many, many names, but he's joining us here this week to go ahead and talk about UFC Vegas 92. JB, how you doing today, man?
I had the mic muted, of course. What's good, my guy, Clint? I'm ready to break down these fights. We got 4 women's fights out of 12 fights, but we're going to try and do the best with what we got, baby, because you already know there's still money to be made.
Absolutely. UFC Vegas 92 is ladies' night, apparently. Shout out to the chat. I see you guys all in here. Thank you so much for being here, especially on a card that is this rough. You guys know I'm a degenerate. I will watch any 2 people they throw into a cage punching each other, and I will probably bet on it. Hell, if they got a couple snails in the backyard going at it, I'll bet on which one crosses the last crack in the yard. But this week's tough. So thank you all.
I know a guy that used to bet on the weather. If there was a certain amount of snow or if it was going to rain, over-unders on inches of snow. I'm not even joking, bro.
That's hilarious. I love it. I love it. Gotta hang out with the right people. That's good stuff. JV, how'd you end up last week, man?
I made 1 unit. Honestly, bro, if Chase Hooper, if Keith Peterson stopped that fight, I had Chase Hooper KO, bro. He knocked him down early. We all knew Slava was chinny. We all knew Slava. Once he got on the mat, it was going to be a wrap, bro. And that's exactly what happened. Kind of reminded me of the Jasmine fight, right? We both were on Jasmine KO there. She's beating the piss out of her. She's going for the KO. And it's finally she says, look, I'm just going to wrap this submission up, which is a smart thing to do at a certain point, right?
Yeah.
And it is what it is.
Man, I saw a bunch of people that were even protesting the submission stoppage, and it was like, they were like, he didn't tap, man, he didn't tap. And I kept saying, you know what, guys, maybe you're right. Maybe he didn't tap, but he got his ass beat. That's what happened in that fight. Like, it should have been stopped 3 minutes earlier. Who cares if he didn't tap? Save years of that man's life. It was not ending. That was vicious. I can't believe Keith Peterson let that one go on so long.
Yeah, and you know what it is sometimes it's the corner, right? They don't want you to stop it unless the guy they want you to give that dude every chance, especially when it's ground and pound. And yeah, he did. He definitely did.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. It happens. Well,
it is what
all right, guys. We got a hell of an intro already right off the rip. It's time to talk fights, though. Let's get on into this bad boy. First fight of the night, we've got Emily Ducote taking on Vanessa Demopoulos. Vanessa Demopoulos, friend of the show. She made a surprise appearance on the podcast several fight cards ago, so we all know how much we love Vanessa. And this is a fun fight, guys. I mean, it really is. Vanessa, I got to give her credit where it's due, JB. She's been showing improvement in her last couple of fights. She's a little older, and that's always something that I've kind of knocked against her a little bit, and she's got maybe the worst base for MMA, which is stripping as opposed to, athletics of any kind. So she's not somebody, as far as long-term longevity, fighting for a title. Like, I don't know that anything is going to happen in that kind of a realm, but I completely countered her out against Kanako Murata, and she went out there and she got the win that night. It was tough. It was a close, sweaty, greasy, questionable decision, but she fought her ass off. And she performed relatively well. She's big. She's strong. She's got a very opportunistic jiu-jitsu game. That's kind of the highlight, I think, of her skill set, is she can snap off some submissions. But her wrestling still needs some work from time to time. Her arms are a little too short, unfortunately, to be, a world-class striker, even though, like I said, got to give her flowers. She's showing improvement in that area. She does look like she's doing better. But she's taking on Emily Ducote here, who is 5 years younger. She's 30 years old. And she has looked really phenomenal in her UFC run here. She got kind of thrown to the wolves, man. Second UFC fight, Angie Hill, who really is only losing to the elite of this division. We'll talk about her a little bit later on. But the gatekeeper to the stars in this weight class is Angela Hill. And then she lost a very close back and forth fight with Lupita Godinez, where frankly, man, she kind of impressed me in that spot. You know, with her ability to hang physically with someone like Lupi for 15 minutes, it was a loss, obviously, but it showed she needed a little more time. There was definitely still some upside there. And then she got it done against Ashley Yoder. It's funny because she kind of disappointed me in the loss to Lupi. I'm sorry, she impressed me in the loss to Lupi, and then she disappointed me in the win over Ashley Yoder. I thought she was going to absolutely destroy Yoder. So the fact that it was kind of a ticky-tacky, pick back and forth type of fight, I was expecting more from her. But when you go back and you kind of look at her entire UFC run, man, she's got great fight IQ. Like, I don't know why I'm knocking her for the Ashley Yoder fight. She went full GSP on us. She did exactly what she needed to do to win that fight and was never in any danger and was never in a bad position and was never at risk. So I'm kind of looking back on that and I'm like, man, I'm knocking her for not being as aggressive as I would have liked her to be. But she did everything she needed to win a damn fight. And at the end of the day, that's what you want. I think she's going to have a big advantage striking here. You know, Vanessa does have some raw pop in her hands, so I'm not sure if she has, you know, a power advantage per se, but those leg kicks I think are going to be an issue. I hope we see those again because she had Jessica Penne hobbled, man, in her UFC debut, basically had her on one leg about 2 minutes into the fight. I think those could play a big part in this spot. That's a long way of saying it's chalk or pass for me, man. I like the favorite, and I think Emily Ducote should roll in this spot. What about you?
Yeah, I like Ducote as well because I just don't like the wrestling of Vanessa. We've seen it time and time again. If she's not able to get the fight to the ground, you know, she could have some trouble on the feet, especially versus Ducote, who I think people sleep on her like raw ability to have power, and she finds her shots well. I love that head kick knockout of Danielle Taylor as well. That was her one big knockout. I think that got her some recognition, get to the UFC, and she's fought some tough competition as well at the UFC level. Demop is the dog quite a bit, so she's 2-1 as an underdog in this exact odds range. I think as a 110% ROI, which isn't bad. But Ducote's won as the favorite as well. She's done everything she's supposed to do in the UFC, so there's really no, I don't think, advantage in saying either side. Looking at the previous performances when they were those odds, man, give me Ducote here. I don't have much to say about it. Does she get a finish? Maybe the high kick like she did against Taylor. I could see it. It's possible, but or is she just you know, one of the TKOs via leg kicks, right? I think that's a sneaky way.
That's the way I'd be looking.
Right. I think that's a sneaky way to play on this fight. But I'm gonna have to do more film. Obviously, it's Monday. Still a little bit early, but from what I'm looking at so far in the film I watched, man, I think Ducote's a safe favorite. In all honesty.
Yeah, man, that's this card is one of those ones where I think there's a lot of bad chalk. Like the favorites are the favorites for a reason, right? But it's such a low level, greasy, nasty card. We all see the same shit, and the lines are way too wide, which means one or two of these are gonna shit the bed.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, but I think it's not going to be Ducote, man. I know we've had Demopoulos pull it off a couple of times already, but I think this is where the run ends. And it looks like Bet Online has Ducote by KO TKO at 6-1. I wish that number was a little higher, but that's kind of a sneaky way to flip the favorite to a dog if you want to play something. All right.
Yeah, or even Ducote 2-3. I like it, man. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Vanessa's tough. I wouldn't expect a round one TKO unless she like snapped her leg in half, which please God, don't do that. But
yeah, I mean, Gomez Juarez even knocked her down and she stayed in the fight. So I agree.
I don't mind the 2-3 look. That's not so bad. All right. Shout out everybody. We've already got 250 live viewers on the show. Thank you very much for hanging out. Make sure you check out our guy MMA Line Mover on Twitter, X, whatever the platform. This is Home of Fight. Make sure you hit the like button here for me, please. Share the show if you're on social media. And Zig in the chat. No idea who that is. So don't have an answer for you. Sorry, buddy. Next fight up, we've got Alatengheili, the Mongolian Knight, taking on Kleydson Rodrigues. This is one of those confusing fights to me, man. We're just never even on my radar. Didn't even consider these two different weight classes to begin with. Kind of thought that Kleydson Rodrigues would move his way back on down, but that's not happening. Missed weight a couple times in the UFC's like, nope, you never get to go down to 125 ever again. And it's unfortunate for him because that's where his win is. That's where his only UFC win is. He knocked out Shannon Ross in less than a minute down there at that weight class. We all know Shannon Ross has been earmarked a bum and cut by the UFC at this point. Unfortunately, I thought he was better than that, but in hindsight, turns out that wasn't a great look. Losses to CJ Vergara and Farid Basharat. And man, I love the aggression of this kid. I love the offensive output of this kid. He's only 28 years old. So it seems like he's still got a shot. You know what I mean? Like he could turn that corner. He's still got a ceiling. But damn, man, he fades so fast. He puts everything into like the first 3 minutes of his fight. And it looks like he just doesn't bring a lunch with him. As soon as he gets tired, he's not the same guy. And, my guy CJ Vergara was able to get that win just off of out hustling him. And that's something I feel like Alatengheili can do in this spot. He's 32 years old. He's training at Fight Ready. You guys know one of my favorite gyms there. And I feel like he's one of the worst good fighters in the UFC. Like he's really well-rounded, man, but instead of finding ways to win, he tends to find a way to lose, and it's kind of upsetting. Anytime he gets that step up in competition is when he struggles. The Gutierrez fight just could not find the man in there. Like just out footworked, not as athletic, not as fast, and that was it. It was over. Same thing with Casey Kenny. You give him guys like Chad and Hellinger, Ryan Benoit, Kevin Kroom, he's handling those guys. No problem. He's a good wrestler. He hits decently hard. He does everything well enough. He's just going to be a middle to low end of the pack kind of guy, I feel like. So this is kind of a test to me for Kleydson Rodrigues. The UFC, honestly, man, after the weight misses, his job is probably on the line. He's like, you're 1-2 in the organization. Your only win is a guy that everybody's crushing. You missed weight a bunch of times. They're like, here's Alatengheili. You better go get the win, kid. You know what I mean? That's kind of what this feels like to me. So I feel like maybe a little bit of a live dog in this spot. You won't catch me dead laying chalk on Kleydson Rodrigues until he shows me he can do something. He's a minus 155 favorite, and I get it. If you want to take that leap of faith and be like younger, more athletic, higher ceiling, maybe adjusting to the new weight class, I get it. Go for it. It probably would be a dog or pass spot for me, but at the end of the day, it's probably fireball and popcorn, man. Grab a drink, grab a snack, let this one just go on by, take a couple notes and see what happens, because it's this one could get hairy. This one could get real close, and we could have like a greasy split on our hands.
Yeah, let's just use the wrestling, Alatengheili. Come on,
yeah.
My man. Like, come on, dude. When he got Gutierrez down, it was he finally just did what I wanted him to do the whole time, which was mix in the wrestling. And I guess you fall in love. He got that Kevin Kroom knockout. You kind of fall in love with using the hands. You're hurting people on the feet. But sometimes it's good to just go back to your base, which is the wrestling. And if he's going to be getting takedowns here, I think he could find himself in dominant positions. Kleydson, I don't like what I see from him on the ground, Clint. I'm not going to lie to you, man. Yeah. Especially when he gets tired. CJ Vergara had him mounted. Not only mounted, but had him in positions where he had his back. And his coaches were calling for him to flatten the hips out, and he didn't get it. And Kleydson was able to explode and reverse. But it had no real technique to it. It was just an explosion. And, yeah, he was able to reverse the position. But I didn't like what I seen there. And in the Farid Basharat fight, I don't think it looked like he knew what he was doing at all. He was just holding on to him, gets his guard passed, gets submitted immediately. Do I think he has the same control as Farid TLing? Yeah, he's pretty good on top. I don't know if he's as good, but he's pretty good on top, and I wouldn't count him out for a submission either. I like him to get the overall win, though, just in general. And I'm taking him, but I wouldn't count out a late submission, which I know sounds kind of crazy. I don't think Alatengheili's gotten any, and I don't know what the odds are on it. But you might give me a crazy number on that one. Maybe I'll take a shot. I know he's a black belt, and they do talk up his grappling, as we know. So it's possible, man.
I don't hate it. I really don't. I mean, because anytime you get Kleydson Rodrigues tired, you're gonna leave that door open there for that late finish. I just, like you mentioned, man, I'm worried that Alatengheili has fallen in love with his hands. But if he ever wanted to go for a sub, see this right here, this is where I need my Uncle Wheezy. I'm gonna have to reach out because I don't even know how many submissions Alatengheili has attempted in the UFC.
Oh, I don't think he has any, but I mean,
That's the
he obviously,
thing.
yeah, he obviously he's gotten positions before he's gotten on top.
Yeah.
But maybe it's sometimes just about the opponent, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. You got to have that opportunity. And he's got 3 wins by submission on his record in general. So he knows how to submit people. But it looks like those came a long time ago. Based on what I'm seeing on his Tapology, though, it does look like 2 of the 3 were rear naked chokes. So definitely what you want to see as far as a high percentage sub. It's not like he's hitting something crazy on regional scene bumps or anything like that. He could hit an arm triangle or rear naked choke or something like that here.
Absolutely, man. Bro,
All
you're
right.
going to kill me right now. I'm so unprofessional. I need to grab my charger. If not, this thing is going to die, and I got to go grab it.
We'd rather have you on the show. Hit the charger.
Thank
Go
you,
get it real quick. I got to real quick shout out my guy Just Win Baby saying China. He's doing the Trump voice specifically. It's tremendous. He was the most amazing fighter I've ever seen. And it was just amazing. It was incredible what he did. He got into mount and he took the back and he tapped him out. It was incredible. I taught him. That's terrible. That's like the worst Trump impression you guys have probably ever heard. My bad. Had to try. Had to go for it. No, but if we're looking at those sub props, which I don't mind, by the way, I'm pulling up Bet Online here for you guys. Alatengheili by sub is 20-1. So this is that nasty, greasy, sneaky spot where the books aren't even thinking about it. And if you want to get those late round prop sprinkles, they might be even higher when they come out, stateside. But like round 3 sub is 55-1. And
okay, yeah, I could work with that. I didn't even look at it.
Might have to have a little taste.
Everyone always talks about the sub props with me, man. I try to, I'm not necessarily saying I'm going to fire on Alatengheili, but man, I don't like what I see straight up from Kleydson on the ground. If Alateng can mix in the wrestling, I think he's a good underdog spot here.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's the move. I mean, sub or not, the wrestling has got to be the play. The problem is, I'm worried we can't trust him. I'm worried we can't trust him to go in there and wrestle. Because if he wants to go bang it out with this kid, that could be a problem. He could be on the wrong side of that real quick. We saw Terrence McKinney try that shit and, may not go so well.
For sure, my man.
Moving right along, La Fiera Rodrigues takes on Ariane Carnelossi. And it's been a little bit since we've seen Carnelossi, man. It's, she was like the #1 most tested fighter for USADA for like 2 years running. And then she disappears and the UFC gets rid of USADA. Lo and behold, here she is. We got her back. She's ready to go now. Man, I gotta wonder. There's so many questions for me right now with the whole USADA situation, man, because it seems like a false flag operation where they're hunting guys that are cut from the organization or guys that aren't relevant, and then we're seeing these throwback performances from old fighters, and it's like, oh, shit's sketchy right now, man. So we got to just be aware that some of these fighters may have a little extra piss and vinegar in their game that they were missing before, but this chick's a tank, dude. I've always been a fan of Ariane Carlston. She's fun. Looks like the daughter of the muscle shark, right? She's like a little version, almost an Andrade type without the leg kicks, right?
She's ginormous, bro. It's ridiculous. Some of the pictures, she makes me feel insecure, bro.
Right? It's crazy, man.
She'd take my lunch money for sure.
She would. She'd beat the shit out of me. No joke. But you know what's funny? She has an 8% takedown defense on UFC stats, dude. 8. Guys, the UFC defaults at 0. So if you've never shot or defended a takedown, they just put a 0. They don't put 100. They put 0. This is the only legitimate single-digit takedown defense rating I have ever seen. Like going through the UFC stuff, I've seen people with like an 18 or a 22. I have never seen single-digit takedown defense ever going through the numbers. So the fact that she's got all that muscle and she hits like a tank for this weight class, she cannot stay on the feet. Now, she's hard to hold down. She's tough. She's big. She's strong. She can squat any one of these women. So she gets back up. But that's the thing. They just chain wrestle her and take her right back down. Now, Piera Rodrigues, 9-1. She is also very strong, very physical. That's kind of been her thing. That last fight with Jillian Robertson, honestly, she gave me a heart attack because I banked on my girl Jillian to have the better submission skills, to be the bigger, stronger fighter. Dude, she took her down immediately. Piera Rodrigues was on top of Robertson within the first couple minutes, and I went, oh, shit, here we go. Because if Jillian's playing off her back, that's not the game I want to be involved in. Thank God Jillian got up and reversed the position, got on top of her instead. But that's, I think, due to sheer size. You know what I mean? Like, since Jillian dropped down a weight class, she is so much bigger. She is so much stronger. So Piera dealt with a bigger, more physical grappler. She's going to be the bigger, more physical grappler in this fight. She'll be 1 inch taller, 2 inches of reach advantage. And I think she's going to be coming in hot, man. She was pissed off about the way that Jillian fight ended because she did not tap, and they put it on her record as a submission loss. She's got that Brazilian thing where it's like, I'd rather have my arm snapped in half than have a submission loss on my record. So she made sure she was going like full Conor McGregor that it's a referee stoppage. It's not a knockout. You know, that she was pulling that kind of shit, trying not to get a submission loss on her record when the ref stepped in. I like Piera Rodrigues here, and it's a short favorite line. It looks like she's about -185 in most places right now. But the big thing for me is I actually think where some women have failed in the past, she can finish Carnelossi. I noticed in a couple of different spots that when Carnelossi gets put on her back, man, she really uses like her elbow and her forearm to try to make the space that you need to shove your opponent off. And that's just inviting an arm triangle. You know, the last couple of opponents she's had haven't even looked that direction for it, which kind of shocked me. That's my favorite sub. When I was doing jiu-jitsu and taking it seriously and got my blue belt, I won like 90% of my tournament matches with the arm triangle choke. It's my absolute favorite. It's real easy to get to, and it's just going to be begging to be taken when Ariane Carnelossi is doing this shit to try to get you off of her when she's flat on her back. So I kind of like Piera Rodrigues by sub here, man. What do you make of this fight?
That's my kind of language, my dude. And if she's going to be getting takedowns, you know it's definitely possible. I think Carnelossi's fought, you know, not the best she has not beaten the best level of competition. Who are her 2 wins in the UFC? It's Na Liang. After Na Liang gassed, Na Liang took her down multiple times. Na Liang's taken down everybody, but Na Liang took her down multiple times before. And then Estela Nunez.
Rest in peace, Na Liang.
Yeah, she's good. Back to China. Back to China for her. It's over. But yeah, Carnelossi, she's got awful takedown defense. She's gonna get put on her back. Yeah, she throws powerful strikes on the feet. She just wings bombs. But I don't think she has any real like pattern, no technique, no real path to win a fight other than just wing bombs. Her wins, you know, pre-UFC, even, you know, Caitlin Souza, she has some wins over girls who are in the UFC now, but still aren't the best level of competition, in my opinion. I like the chalk here. I like Piera Rodrigues. I'm going to have to look at the sub look now. I'm going to have to go back and look because, you know, me, I always love me a good sub look, my man.
Yeah, no, I know that's your whole game, dude. And I try to sniff them out whenever we can find them. I think it sets up pretty nicely in this spot here. She does have, let's see here. The sub prop is sitting at plus 650. That ain't gonna last. That ain't gonna last. We'll take us a piece of that. Are you shitting me? Anthony in the chat says she's not Brazilian. Dude, she's Venezuelan. Oh my God. My bad, guys. That is my bad. This whole, like, seriously, ever since she got to the UFC, I really thought that Piera Rodrigues was Brazilian. What the hell?
Dude, the way she didn't tap to that submission, she is.
Yeah, my bad. My bad. Uncle Weezy, what's up, my guy? Good to see you in the chat. My bad, guys. My bad. Okay, Venezuelan. Good to know. Good to know. See, we're learning things here every single day. Thank you, Tapology, for the little flags next to the fighter names.
Right?
Yeah, Mushroom MMA says in Philly we call it a hoagie, not a sub. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, guys, let's move right along here. We got Abus Magomedov taking on Warley Alves, and damn, man, I was way too invested in Abus Magomedov. So I did my in-depth research. I did my digging. I told everybody about this guy, and he makes his UFC debut against one of my favorite, like, greasy, nasty, mangy underdogs in Dustin Stolfus. And everyone's like, Clint, you're going to take Stolfus against this bum, right? And I'm like, sorry, guys. Abus is going to kill him. And we made bank on Abus by knockout in that spot, man, because he was drastically underrated coming into the UFC. And I thought he was just going to ride the momentum. I thought I had a juiced up monster fighter that was getting the push, and they gave him right to Sean Strickland. And I'm like, this is perfect. Sean coming off a knockout loss. He's going to walk forward. He's going to eat a couple shots and go down again. Then Sean Strickland went on the most magical run anybody ever has seen in the UFC. Somehow gets heavy. He gets gold. He takes the title. I'm like, oh God, never saw that coming. But Avis gets basically exposed at the high level by Sean in the process. And now I'm kind of backpedaling here in this spot, but I'll keep this one short, man. I feel like this is a get right spot. The UFC knows what they've got here. Avis may have had a tough time, but he's better than his performance against Sean Strickland showed. Bad matchup for him. Really, if you push the guy, if you make him walk backwards, if you wrestle him, you put him on his ass, make him work, you can see some holes in the cardio game. But if you're going to kickbox with him, dude is a motherfucker. Like, he's a beast on the feet, and he hits really hard. So what they've done is they've gone, all right. Warley Alves, buddy, thank you for your years of service, but you are, 4-1 in your last 5. Your only win was bum rushing a dude that's been cut. It's time. They're throwing this man to the wolves. They're trying to get Abus back on track, get him a win, get him going. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen here, man. We mentioned the USADA sketchiness at the top of the show. And I actually think Abus may be one of the guys that benefits from that sketchiness. I wouldn't be shocked if he comes out looking like the guy I thought he was going to be when he first made it to the UFC here. I think that Abus is going to be the rightful favorite in this spot. Not think he is, my bad. I think he's going to win. I think he's going to cover that price tag. And even if a guy like Warley Alves comes at him hard in round 1, bro, that plays right into his hand. You know what I mean? Like, you're not dragging him deep. You're not tiring him out. You want to go, firepower for firepower in round 1. Okay, I'll take the Abus side in that situation too. And I'm not worried about Warley dragging him late and winning a cardio-based decision, trying to get him into round 3. That's not how he fights. So, yeah, man, Abus Magomedov, I think it's a round 1 KO. I like him this week.
Yeah, I think the only way he loses his fight is if he gets bonked early. We saw Luis Taylor was able to beat him. He was a big favorite there as well. So I'm not going to count out, that happening, right? We've seen it happen before, Clint. Even though it was pre-UFC, we've seen it happen before. I'm not rating Luis Taylor that high, in my opinion, compared to a guy like Warley Alves, who at least has the UFC experience, Clint. But watching that Ikram Aliskerov loss, he got dropped by a jab, Clint. You're getting dropped by a jab. I just can't get behind that, man. I just can't get behind it. I got to go with Abus Magomedov here. I think he's going to avoid the bonk. I think he's going to bonk Warley. Give me another Abus round 1 KO here, just like Ikram did.
All right, man. I know it seems like a little square with this kind of a favorite, but I think you're right. I think you're right.
I mean, maybe he subs him? No, I'm joking. I don't think he gets the sub.
No. I just mean chalking up in this kind of a spot. Right. You know what I mean? It's like, sometimes if it looks like a duck and it walks like a duck, it's a duck. Yeah. And I think that's what we've got here.
For sure. And sometimes, some chalk's going to hit on a card. There's going to be spots where the chalk doesn't hit. And I think this is just one of the spots, right, where chalk's going to get it done. It's the Warley Alves. I think he's done, man. His chin is I think shot goods now.
Oh, he is shot, man.
The and now Wells one was another really bad one too, bro. That was a sick one.
Yeah. Dude, and if you're talking about red flags, things we want to look for and fade in fighters, getting gogo plotted in jiu-jitsu and then getting dropped by a jab. Those are the ones you're like, or getting Ezekiel choked. It's like, you can't do that shit. Like, if you know what you're doing in MMA at all, you can't have that shit happen to you at the UFC level.
Fair enough, bro. I agree 100%, bro. Give me a boost.
Let me see what his knockout line looks like if BetOnline has anything for him here. Because we had a shout out from the chat that apparently the line is set at 2.5 for the total, which is just pure insanity to me. If you can get a 2.5, I'm seeing 1.5, but if you can get a 2.5, If someone mispriced it out there, jump on that quick. Habas by KO is plus 125. I like that. I like that a lot.
Not bad, bro. Not bad.
Yeah.
I don't mind it.
Plus money is good money there. Ooh, my guy Dan Levy says when 2024, the year when everyone think is shot wins as an underdog.
For real, bro. There'll be somebody on this card. We're gonna try and figure it out.
There'll be somebody. Hey, shout out to anybody that got on CDF last week, man. Carlos Diego Ferreira. I counted him out. I was smart enough not to parlay up Rebecca, but I never even thought about putting my money on Carlos Diego. So shout out to anybody that went ahead and made that move. That was big time.
Yes, sir. And the Waldo train too. That was a good one also.
Oh, dude, see, people at least talked about the Waldo situation,
For sure. No one was on CDF.
I thought I was gonna get bailed out. When he got on the feet, man, and he threw that like Anderson Silva front kick to the face, I was like, it doesn't matter. He got taken down. We got 15 minutes on the feet still, or we got 10 more minutes. He'll start the next round on the feet. He'll eventually find the kill shot.
Right.
Can I just say how disappointing? Like, Waldo Cortez had 13 minutes of full mount and couldn't finish the guy. A guy that has never attended the first jiu-jitsu class you take. The very first thing they teach you in jiu-jitsu is how to get your feet to your butt, hands on the hips, and bump to get somebody off of you and mount. They teach you, that's like one of the very first lessons you learn in jiu-jitsu is how to defend yourself and get your guard back. This guy is laying flat on his back with his feet splayed out like he's on the couch, man. And he still couldn't do a damn thing. He couldn't deal any significant strikes. He couldn't hurt him. Obviously didn't finish him. It's like, bro, like I know Waldo got the win and he exposed the grappling hole we all knew was probably there.
Right.
But that's a bad look for a win, man.
And at least he didn't get knocked out. But freaking, dude, not a good look.
Not a good look. All right, guys, here we go. Next up, you've got Tamires Vidal, and she is taking on Melissa Gatto. And, guys, I figured it out. It had to be maybe, 25 or so years ago, Derek Lewis got introduced to Edson Barboza's cousin when they're fighting on a card together in Brazil. And lo and behold, 25 years later, we've got Tamires Vidal fighting in the UFC. Bro, this is female Derek Lewis. She's exactly girl Derek Lewis without the fuck you get up game. If you put her on her back, she doesn't know how to stand up the way daddy does. But if it's on the feet, it's the same thing. She's pudgy. She doesn't have any technique really to speak of. She's crazy, stupid explosive for this weight class. And if you give her a chance, she will flatline you. She carries her power to rounds 2 and rounds 3 and just does nothing. She can't win minutes, but she wins those moments. She'll hurt you. She'll drop you. She'll knock you down. It's absolutely insane that she does exactly what he does, but the women's MMA version of it. She's still super young, so there's a lot of room that she could potentially kind of harness that and grow and develop her skill set. But God, dude, like looking back at the way she's lost, it's brutal. She doesn't have any takedown defense. The 3 takedowns she gave up against old ass Rondon, just, cringy. And then I will never, ever forget. You look back at her regional tape, and I don't know how many of you guys like dug back deep on this one. She actually has a win over the UFC's Aileen Perez. And bro, that fight is the craziest thing. She gets her ass kicked by Aileen Perez. She gets dragged around that cage. She doesn't look like she knows what she's doing. And then she gets hit with an illegal strike. She's completely exhausted. And Aileen Perez freaks out. She's celebrating her win. She's ready to go. And you can see Tamires Vidal in the background. She looks at her coaches. She looks at the camera. She looks at her coaches. And then the ref looks at her and she goes, dude, it's one of the biggest Aljo moments of my life. She absolutely flops and she's rolling around the cage and it's one of the worst acting jobs you have ever seen. And they actually gave her the DQ win. And Aileen Perez absolutely loses her shit because she beat her ass pillar to post for that entire fight. Now here she is in the UFC, loses a split decision to someone who was basically set up on a platter for her to go ahead and win. This line dropped when Melissa Gatto filled in here on short notice. Let me just say, by the way, they matched her up with Haley Cowan. I've been trying so hard to fade Haley Cowan. I want to have my money on the other side of Haley Cowan. She's a complete fraud, but she keeps ducking me. She's got one fight, man, since she got on the Contender Series. She lost to Jamie Lynn Hoare. Thank you, Jamie Lynn, for the big payday. But she has 4 canceled fights since then. She just refuses to step foot in the octagon. I'm pissed because Tamires would have taken her head off. Anyway, back to this fight. So Melissa Gatto fills in on short notice, and they open up this line at roughly a pick'em, and everyone just floods in, man. Gatto is a minus 400 favorite at this point. And Gatto's one of my girls. I like Melissa Gatto. She's 28 years old. She's veiny as shit. She's on all the good stuff too. And I will forever rage about the split decision loss to Ariane Lipski because she did not lose that fight. I don't know what the judges were doing that night. I am angry about that loss. But man, she can wrestle. She can take the back. She's got nasty submissions. She's got good ground and pound to open up those submissions. She's got an intelligent jab. She can box. I love Melissa Gatto. I like everything about her. But minus 400 is crazy. Is absolutely bonkers. I'm picking Gatto to win. But at this number, this has got to be dog or pass, especially when you're dealing with somebody who's got that stupid power like Vidal does. If Gatto knows what she's doing, she'll drag this girl to the ground. She'll body lock her, and she'll just grind away 15 minutes. And I think she can and should win. But I am worried about like the late round flying knee. I really am. So Gatto for me, man. What do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, this girl did lose a round on a scorecard to Victoria Leonardo. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here, man.
Yeah.
Sijara Eubanks, I don't even think she's in the UFC no more, if I'm not mistaken. But she's definitely improved since then. She's still young. Her wrestling is getting better. She's got upper body locks. And she could definitely get Vidal down, I think, if she wanted to. Rendon's a little bit bigger, I think, than Gatto, so she could probably hold you down a little bit better. Yeah. Vidal will sell on anything, though. She'll sell on the KOs. She'll sell on the subs as well. And I think that could wind up getting her subbed in the end. But give me Gatto here to win. I did get in her on minus 110, bro. I got in on her at minus 175. I think the line just got a little out of hand here, man, and that's where we're at. Do I think Vidal wins? No, but I think Gatto should be closer to like a minus 220.
I hear you.
You know what I'm saying? She has
absolutely out of control.
Yeah, she has the upside on the grappling, like I said, but she does fall off a position a lot. Tamires does that as well, but Gatto's not prone to not making a dumb decision. She's hittable on the feet as well, and I will say a lot of the early opponents that she did beat are gassers. Not that Vidal can't gas, but she just does a lot of nothing, and she avoids the fight where I think if Gatto comes forward, she could wind up getting cracked, like you said. Let's see if the toughness, though. She could always just go to her back, pull guard at that point, and avoid that. But maybe the moments, like you said, for Vidal, that's the way she wins the fight. But give me the better mixed martial artist here. I think she's got the cleaner stand-up. I think she's got the cardio. I think she's fought the better competition. And I think she could wrestle here. So give me her. And she has dangerous jiu-jitsu. Give me Gatto, man.
I'm with you, man. I do agree on all points. It just, the one thing that does worry me, though, is just like the physicality of it, because Vidal is going to be the larger framed woman in there. I think based on the UFC stats, she's got an inch in height on her. So I really want to watch these two size up when we get to like the weigh-ins and stuff like that on Friday. I want to see what they look like standing next to each other because Gatto's whole thing is being more physical than her opponents. She likes to body lock and drag them to the ground and stuff like that. And if she isn't the bigger, stronger girl in there, that could be an issue. So I'm just warning everybody, laying minus 400 on Vidal probably ain't the move. If you got the minus 150, if you got the minus 110, Gatto definitely the side at that number. But at minus 400, I'd be looking somewhere else.
Yeah, she's definitely, I don't think she's ever even been this close to these big of odds in a UFC fight. And I think the lines came in on Vidal a little bit. I think it's now like minus 300 Gatto. So the people are starting to see what you're seeing. It's a closer fight than women's MMA, right? At the end of the day, how confident can you be in a minus 400 favorite? Like I said, that's in close fights with Sajara Eubanks. That fight was 1-1 going into the third round.
Exactly.
And then she gets a body KO. Who knows how that round actually plays out? If she winds up on her back, I've seen her, make dumb decisions. Vidal's bigger opponent, she just winds up in guard, losing minutes. I don't like it.
I'll be honest with you, man. If these numbers hold, they've got Vidal by knockout at 12-1. I might have to sprinkle a little bit of that just because that is her not only, but that's her path. You know what I mean? That's the way she wins fights. 12-1 for a big, massive power puncher in this weight class. Even though I love my girl Gatto, I want her to win. She's tough. I kind of think there's some value on that number.
Yeah, she's got subs, I guess. So I would say it's the knockout way more percentage of the time if it finishes inside the distance. And the fight's favored to finish inside the distance, right? They got Gatto wins inside the distance at Super Chalk. The fight to ends inside the distance, Super Chalk. But I think Vidal inside the distance is like plus 800. Yeah. So just keep that in mind. I like the plus 800 number as well.
Yeah, that's a number right there that you can play for sure. Interesting note here. Nichols says that Andrade was the last women's underdog to win. Crazy. 7 in a row. 7 favorites in a row for the ladies.
We're due. Definitely this week.
We're playing roulette with that shit right now, right? Black's got to hit eventually. Let's go.
For sure, bro. For sure.
All right. Next up, everybody, we have got Oumar C taking on Antonio Trócoli. And both these guys are making their UFC debut here, man. It's funny because Trócoli, I was like, I know that name. Why do I know that name? He was off Dana White's Contender Series. Trócoli actually was on Dana White's Contender Series. So I've seen him at least once or twice before. He's 12-3. And he won via first round sub on Dana White's Contender Series. People were losing their minds over this guy. Dana loved him. It was impressive. This guy's getting a contract for sure. Pump the brakes. This guy popped immediately after and had that fight overturned to a no contest for nandrolone, which is essentially like man-made testosterone. And they pumped him full of it. They pumped him full of that shit. So he pops, goes back out on the regional scene, gets one win over a guy that looked like he was fighting 2 weight classes up. And the UFC is like, bro, phone's ringing. We'll bring him right on back. So he has his, he serves his little bit of time, gets one win that I wouldn't even call a good win. And they're like, all right, you're in, kid. So they absolutely are not worried about the people popping for shit these days. But they're bringing him here in this spot. He's big. And it looks like he's a really slick grappler, man. That's the one thing that I think really kind of stands out for him is big, powerful blast double legs, position over submission, very heavy on top. He smothers his way. He's like a boa constrictor, like old school BJJ, man. He likes to like crawl up people and just smother them as he gets from position to position. As a BJJ guy, I love that shit. Like if you can bet on someone you know is capable of doing that, it's a wrap, man. They find themselves eventually to the mount or to the back, and they'll find their choke. It's almost like Tatsuro Taira. Like I just love the way he grapples. So I like this kid. I see where he can definitely hang at the UFC level, but his stand-up is still a little bit of a question mark for me. Oumar C, undefeated, 9-0, also making his UFC debut. And apparently he's done some time over in Sweden training with guys like Gus Volkan Oezdemir, stuff like that. He fought in KSW a whole lot, and he seems like he's relatively balanced, man. 4 KO wins, 3 submission wins. He's got 2 decision wins, which is actually pretty solid. You like to see these guys able to go 15 minutes every once in a while so we don't have to question the cardio. You know, they've all got round 1 finishes, that kind of thing. They get bonked in the UFC in round 2 immediately. This guy can go a full 15. We know that. And it looks like he's got serious power on his feet. He's just a BJJ blue belt, so I do think obviously there's going to be a discrepancy on the mat if it hits there, and it probably will because the way C fights, this guy loves to just grab people, drag them to the floor, and like handcuff them and beat the shit out of them. He's got like 2 or 3 knockout wins where he just pins his guy up against the corner where like the floor meets the fence and then pins one wrist down Khabib style and beats the crap out of the open side of their head. This guy's brutal, just 28 years old. And frankly, he could be a stud. Like it just based on what I'm seeing from, I know it's regionals. I know it's low level. It's not UFC. But if he can run with that kind of offensive firepower and do that to people at the UFC level, this guy's going to be fun to watch. So I got to go with the undefeated prospect. I got to go with C. He could get exposed in the grappling. It's possible. but I think he's so much better striking. And then when they grapple, he's competent enough to overcome the discrepancy. It's favored or pass here again from me, man. I think I'm going to go with C, and he's sitting at minus 265 at this point, so another decent sized favorite.
All right. We're finally going to disagree, I think.
There we go.
We're finally going to disagree. So I watched this fight. Colin B. Guy, Aries FC 2-0. This guy was a white belt 100%, was reversing this guy on the mat. This fight was back in 2022, Clint. So how much better could he have actually got since then? He was just putting himself in terrible spots on the mat, getting swept easily by a guy that clearly didn't know what he was doing. And honestly, I just don't believe in his record. Who is this Bartimej Gladkowicz? You know, like he's going up against guys who are 5-0, 0-0, 1-0, Clint, 0-0, 19-8-1, 26-17-1. And I know everybody's got to start somewhere, but now you're asking me to pay up the chalk on him. We got Trócoli, who's probably coming back on the juice. Go ahead and look at his Instagram real quick. And you know what I'm saying? We just talked about how this guy popped. He got a 6 submission win. He's got he's got a rear naked choke. I know the level of competition is good, but almost all of his wins are by submission. He had a slick anaconda choke as well, and I think he could wrap that up. I wouldn't count out the submission here for Trócoli, especially if he's able to get this fight to the mat. I don't trust Oumar at chalk here, especially a UFC debutant. We saw this a few weeks ago with, who was it? Chris Padilla. Who do you fight? James Liontop. I feel like that's very similar to this fight. You know, both guys kind of unproven. I know Trócoli has a few losses in a row, but Volkman's not the worst. Like people, Diego Lima was a UFC guy, whereas Oumar C's really just fought nobody at this point. It was getting reversed by a 2-0 guy who had no BJJ whatsoever. So yeah, I don't believe in it yet. Let's see what happens this Saturday. Didn't take the dog shot on Trócoli yet, but I'm thinking he could be one of the guys that ruins those parlays, Clint, for sure.
That's fair. Absolutely fair, man. And I could see it. That was kind of my first lean initially, was that I was like, damn, that's a wide number, man. I do think he's a little live here. You just never know with these incoming prospects, guys making their debut. The regional scenes are so tough to grab. I'm not an expert, at handicap and regionals. I'll leave that to guys like, our boy Narco. But that's where you really got to kind of throw a shot in the dark. I'm not that confident. Either one of these guys could be the right guy. The fact that neither of them have UFC caliber competition, I don't count Dana White's Contender Series as UFC caliber, unless I'm very familiar with the other guy on it, that kind of thing. So, fun to have a little disagreement, but I can see what you're saying. I can definitely see where C might be live in this spot.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
My guy Jake coming in here.
At least he's ready to admit it, right?
I love it. See, that's what it's all about, man. If you got a bad take, like, you just want to be like, you know what? All right, bad take. It was a bad take. I respect it.
We all
appreciate you, Jake.
We all have them.
Yep, it's good shit, man. It's the victory lapping in MMA, especially on like Twitter and Instagram. You gotta love it. The community knows what they're doing. All right, guys, real quick here. Let's pay a couple of bills. First and foremost, we got to talk about Spectation Sports. We're talking about these regional shows. We're talking about these fighters we're not familiar with. If you guys want some more regional scene MMA, check out Spectation Sports. They've got betting odds for most of these on like BetMGM and stuff like that. Cage Titans, All in Combat, both coming up here to end the month. If you use promo code DIEHARD, you will get a break on your subscription. I believe 20% is what you get knocked off there. So go ahead and check out Spectation Sports if you want to catch some of this action. Next up, we got Fight Numbers. John Kelly's boys over at Fight Numbers doing good work, and they're actually helping me not be so much fish in the barrel when it comes to DFS, because I am bad at that. Their tools are helping me. I'm able to break even and or win just a little bit on my degenerate shots here in DFS these days. So make sure you check out Fight Numbers. Again, the promo code will be DieHard. If you guys want to go ahead and get a break on your sub over there, I can help you out and get a little bit of a discount. Finally, Bet Openly. We're kicking ass over at Bet Openly, taking names. We're running weekly free giveaway contests on this platform, guys. So if nothing else, get signed up, because we are literally giving away free money over here. The link in the description of this video will get you signed up. They'll let you know I sent you. But I mean, we're running UFC contests, $100 giveaways for the pay-per-view cards and like $50 free giveaways for the regular cards. Right now, we're knee-deep in the second run of the Gauntlet, which is a 6-week bankroll challenge with $600 in prizes. Halfway mark, 3 weeks left to go, and your boy is sitting in number 4. I ain't afraid, JB. I'll win my own damn contest. I'll take that money for myself.
Yes, sir.
you guys
Yes,
ain't think I'm playing over here. I'll take it. So the big thing here is 1% juice, everybody. Every single one of these numbers on Bet Openly is going to be better than any other sports book you can get your hands on. Pierre Rodrigues, minus 170. Ariane Carnelossi, plus 170. The winner of the bet pays 1% juice. The loser of the bet pays no juice because they lost the bet. It's the way God intended. Sports betting should be this way, and you're not going to get limited because it's peer-to-peer. You're betting with other human beings. So if you want to put a $10,000 bet out there and let 50, 60 people take a piece of it until all your action is gone, that is totally fine. They're never going to tell you can't do that. There's also a bet with friends feature where you get 0% juice. If you and your buddy want to go head to head on something where it's a friendly wager, they will charge you no sauce to make that bet and have it be a publicly traded legal situation. So there's all kinds of fun options. The giveaways we do are contests. You can create those contests for money every single week in every single sport, and they are advancing this product constantly. There's esports now, there's tennis, there's hockey. They added NASCAR shit, dude. Like, it's getting better. My guy Gino that runs the thing, he is listening to the gamblers, and every single week he makes improvements to the platform based on the feedback of the customers. So if you want something that's transparent and open like that, where their goal is to save us money and make the best gambling platform out there, this is the place. Guys, go check out Bet Openly. They do sponsor me. They also seriously kick ass. So I'm not just telling you that because they sponsor the show. All right, everybody. Let's get back into the fights, though.
Can I address a comment real quick?
Yeah. What's up? What's going on?
Yeah, dude. So somebody said that Asai was the favorite. Vegas, set Sai as the favorite. Vegas is usually right. Man, if you trusted Vegas every single time to get the favorite right, you'd never make any money. So you can't use that as the logic. And I think some people do that, especially on fighters where, they don't know so much as them. They kind of look at the records. They see Trócoli has 3 losses in a row, 1 no contest. So they just go ahead and chalk it up to Sai is going to beat him. He's the undefeated fighter. Let me just throw him in the parlay.
Yeah. No, that's definitely fair. You can't take it for blanket, but I will be honest. I do like it. If I want to fade the market, man, and Vegas opened up like a minus 180 and it gets flipped to a dog right away, I'm like, that gives me a little confidence. But Sai's been the favorite all the way down the line. So can't complain too much there on that one. All right, everybody, back to the fights here. We have got Tom Nolan making his return to the UFC. Quick turnaround, too. And he's taking on Victor Martinez. For a second, I thought I messed that name
up. I looked
up.
like Vitor. I thought it was Vitor, bro.
I know, right? Got my eyes playing tricks on me. I ordered some new glasses, man. They actually just came in. I got to go pick them up. So we'll get a new prescription in here, guys. I won't be fucking up the names anymore. Give me next week. I'll have some sexy new glasses for you, which, by the way, could not have come at a better time. You guys probably think I've been rocking silver glasses like all this time. These bad boys are just so badly like chipped that it's silver. They were supposed to be black. Like, look on the inside. They used to be black, but they look silver now because they're so freaking I don't want to call them bad. They've been comfortable. Anyway, whatever. Don't need to get on about my bad eyesight and my glasses. Anyway,
after this week, you're coming back with some Cartiers, brother.
That's right. I'm gonna really sexy it up in here for you guys. And as soon as I hit that parlay, I'm booking my flight to Turkey. We're gonna get that hair transplant. So I just need to hit. I need to get highlighted by DraftKings or like Better or one of those platforms. If I got a parlay that hits for like 80K, guys, new glasses, hair transplant. That's what's happening. I'm going to call Rob, get the name of his guy. Let's get
this hair transplant, my brother. 2024, baby.
That's going to be the goal. Hair transplant parlay, baby. Let's go. All right. So for this fight, let's rewind it. Walk it back. No, Tom Nolan. He's 6-1. A victim of the Dana White's Contender Series situation, right? 0-1 off Contender Series. Got smoked. Absolutely smoked by Nicholas Mata, man. That was one of those ones where I was like, this is the Dana White's Contender Series fade, and I should blindly bet it, but instead I'm just going to pass. I left it alone because I kind of thought this kid was the goods. Should have bet it. Mata beat the brakes off this guy, knocked him out clean in the first round, and he's turning around after just 4 months to get right back on in there. You guys know my opinion. I want that chin to heal. I want that brain to heal. Like, I want you to take like 6, 9, 12 months off after a brutal KO. So 4 months, little sketchy, but he's a young guy. It's not the same as like a 36-year-old taking a bad knockout or something like that. So all right, we'll let him get back in there. He's huge for the weight class. Really tall, really long, likes to kick the body. I love the way he targets the body with that big long side kick that he's got there. Man, big Muay Thai knees, teep up the middle, nasty ground and pound. He's got that Chase Hooper like elbow style ground and pound that you love to see. And he's just 24 years old. 3-inch reach advantage, and then he's 7 inches taller. 7. He's gonna tower over this guy. Martinez is one of the shorter guys in the weight class, so it's gonna be another one of those crazy height discrepancies here. He also is 0-1 off Dana White's Contender Series, and the difference between these guys from EJB is I actually thought Tom Nolan had some upside. I don't think at 32 years old Victor Martinez belongs here. So he got handled in his UFC debut. Guys, shout out my guy Matty Betts right here at Home of Fights. He texted me on Friday night and was like, bro, I believe it or not, he did. He told me, he's like, bro, I'm going to play Jordan Leavitt by knockout. I was like, what is wrong with you, Matty? I was like, what are you doing? Like,
sounds like my kind of guy.
I like Jordan Leavitt. Like, I'll take Jordan Leavitt. That's fine. But knockout? Are you insane? Next thing you know, dude's got this guy in a clinch and he's kneeing him right up the middle. First knockout of the man's life. Like, what? I was like, how did you have any idea that might be coming here? At any rate, guys, this one's simple to me. If you're getting KO'd by Leavitt, you're going to get your ass dusted by Tom Nolan. People are worried about this kid because, like I said, quick turnaround, bad knockout, all that stuff got exposed. Mota would do the same thing. Mota would handle Martinez as well. Like, this is a spot where the UFC is getting this kid's confidence back up, get him back on track, hand him a guy that doesn't belong here. And I think he's going to get the knockout, man. I think it's a matter of, does it come round 1 or round 2? I totally expect Nolan to come out here and probably one of those big body kicks, but also maybe just follows it up the way Leavitt did and clinch knees him to death. What do you think?
I might take a crazy take on this one.
Oh, boy.
It's not Martinez. I know, like, Nolan did just disappoint everybody, though, bro, right? And Martinez does have some crisp striking. He has some nice jabs. I like what I saw in the Nico Echeverri fight, but that was years ago. But go ahead and watch that fight. Nico Echeverri was bullying him. Go ahead and watch a bunch of his pre-UFC fights. This guy gets his back taken a ton.
I know where this is going.
And Tom Nolan, I seen him get the rear naked choke one time only, but he is a brown belt in BJJ. He has talked about in interviews going out there and trying to use the grappling. So I wouldn't be shocked coming off a knockout loss if he tries to go for takedowns here. And we've seen this guy lose via submission before. Tom Nolan will win inside the distance, big price. Everybody's going for the knockout, bro. Everybody and their mother this week. Tom Nolan knockout. Because if Jordan Leavitt can knock you out, bro, I don't think anybody's going to be betting Victor Martinez. And I think everybody's going to be going to the Tom Nolan knockout train. It's pretty chalked. It's the most likely outcome. But this guy, like you said, a lot taller than him, creates leverage for those submissions, man. And I think Tom Nolan could get it done via submission here. It's not just the KO for me. So I got Tom Nolan to win the fight. But go ahead and go back and watch some of Victor Martinez's pre-UFC tape, and you will see this guy does get his back taken a lot. I know he trains at Fortis with Diego Ferreira, who did just see win at a good gym. But I think he gets beat here, and I think Tom Nolan gets it done.
Okay. All right. You know, I like Tom Nolan inside the distance, man. Honestly, that's the type of look where check the number. You know, if you've got plus 125 KO, minus 110 inside the distance, just take inside the distance. That kind of sub will ruin your night, cost you money, and the price might not be that different. So I will take that into account here, and I'll wait until the inside the distance number pops up for me. We'll see what that number is. I may play that instead of the KO, but I think we're on the right side here. I think Tom Nolan gets this thing done, and he probably does it spectacularly.
As long as he doesn't get bonked early, bro, we got this.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think the kid's got it too. But I'll be honest with you, man. I do love the angle of just got knocked out. Let me grapple this time. Like that seems to be a thing.
Who says that Victor Martinez just got knocked out, doesn't try to grapple here, and gets standing guillotined?
Yeah.
Like he's so much shorter than the guy. If the guy just grabs his neck and those are the type of moves that work, right? those standing rear naked chokes, those standing guillotines, when one guy is just so much taller than him, because you just have the leverage. You can get over the top of the guy, and even if they try in their best to turn, you can get chest over their shoulders or chest over their head, and it's a wrap, bro. And I think that could very well be a case here, man.
I like it.
You get knocked out by Jordan Leavitt, bro. You can't tell me you can't get subbed by Tom Nolan, bro.
That's true. It's all on the table after that. All right, guys, we got 540 live on this Monday talking about this god-awful dumpster fire of a fight card. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and thank you for hanging out, man. It's been fun.
I love
it. We got a couple more to go here. Next up, my girl, Angie Hill, takes on Luana Pinheiro. And guys, okay. So we've got massive heart implications here for me. We talked about Angie Hill very briefly early on in the card. She's older. She's 38, 39 years old, something like that. But we got to remember, she got a late start to MMA, man. That's not MMA miles. She might be a little bit older, but she is still probably in her prime, man. She is still a pretty young chicken when it comes to MMA. I don't think she got started until she was in her mid-20s or something like that. So I think there's still some tread on the tire with Angie Overkill Hill, and she has really just become the gatekeeper here in this weight class. The elites get by Angie Hill, and she fights to the level of her competition. And I mean that very literally, not just up, not just down. She fights to the level of her competition. Every single fight she's in is super close. Back and forth. She's got an argument that she won the fight. I mean, you go back to the Amanda Lemos fight. She is tough and durable as shit, man. Nobody else is taking the shot that Lemos landed on her. This girl is durable as all get out, and she turns up late usually. She usually has a cardio advantage. You go back and you can see that she's got 5 split decisions over the course of her professional career. So you got to watch out. You don't want to lay a ton of chalk with Angie Hill, but definitely if you're looking at a higher caliber opponent, it's not like she's a stepping stone. Luana Pinheiro, I've got the opposite relationship with. I hate this chick. Now, she's 30 years old, so she's younger. She could improve, but guys, she quits. She's got no heart. She's got absolutely no heart on her. Now, Amanda Hebos went out there, and she went for broke trying to kill Amanda Hebos. Someone who I said very clearly in a lot of my breakdowns is chinny. I like to fade the chin of Amanda Hebos, man. I think she doesn't take shots very well. And Pinheiro left it all out there trying to finish her. And she doesn't have a plan B. If she can't knock you out and finish you early, if she can't out-muscle you and grapple you, the cardio's sketchy. She's a good hammer. She is not a great nail. She doesn't like when you take over the fight and push her back and get her tired in there. She caves. She folds. She went to a split decision with Michelle Waterson Gomez, which 5 years ago would probably be a feather in your cap. But today I think it's probably kind of a bad sign of things to come. And the Randa Marcos fight, my man, I will never not bring up the Randa Marcos fight. We have so many students from the school of Aljamain Sterling this week. She got KO'd by an illegal up kick from Randa Marcos, a woman who in her professional MMA career has 0 knockouts. I love Randa Marcos. She's a grappler with no power. She has not one knockout to her professional resume. And when she kicked this girl in the head, she did the same thing. Look at the camera. I'm done, bro. Her boyfriend came into the cage and had to scoop her off the mat and carry her backstage. You want to tell me that Marcos, who couldn't knock out anybody while trying, accidentally hit you so hard that your eyes rolled in the back of your head? Ain't happening. You're never going to convince me that that's true. She went hard in round 1 and went, oh shit, I am tired. And when she knew it was not going to go well for her grappling, she found her way to the door. I'm not backing somebody who has no heart. Pinheiro is a quitter. She has no heart. Angie Overkill Hill is the exact opposite. This woman will die in the cage to go and get that win for you. If she is just not quite the better fighter, then so be it. I like Angela Overkill Hill in this spot, man. It's not something where you want to trust her at a chalky price tag. I don't like laying on Angie Hill, but I think she is the rightful favorite here in this spot. This fight will likely be close. You know, Pinheiro wins round 1, Hill wins round 3. It comes down to round 2 type of situation, but I think Angie hits hard enough that she will get the respect of Pinheiro. I think she'll back her off, and I think she'll be able to go ahead and get this upset. I say upset. She's the favorite. It's not really an upset, but I like Angie, man. Minus 135. I'm very much considering a bet on her in this spot.
Yeah, I think this fight goes to decision a fair amount of times, and I think Hill wins round 3 a good clip of those times as well. So I like what you're putting out, man. I think she has the cleaner striking on the feet as well. Pinheiro might try to take this to the ground, but I think Hill has everything to cover her there. I think Hill's the rightful favorite as well, man. Not something I did a ton of research on. At all of the fights so far, this is the one I did the least film on, just because I feel like it's probably going to play out close. If I bet on Hill, it's going to be a split decision. I'm going to be there the whole time praying to God, and I do think she is the better fighter. I'm picking Hill for my breakdown, but no bet from me, Clint. Not on this one, not yet.
That's fair. I mean, this one could just set itself up to be a split because it's Hill. So, definitely could go that way. I don't blame anybody.
She doesn't look old either, man. And the win against Ducote, I think that was pretty impressive, man. We talked about how good Ducote is before. I think, she has the experience. She's fought the better kind. Who is Pinheiro beat, really, honestly, man? She got wins against who? Sam Hughes. That Sam Hughes fight, bro, was on short notice. I will not stand
for Sam Hughes disrespect.
But I'm just going to say that fight was on short notice for Sam Hughes, like a week or two short notice. So we're going to really say that we're going to knock Sam Hughes, whose thing is cardio, for not having a full camp and losing to Juana Pinheiro?
I am so happy you said that, because I said almost verbatim, I was like, if Sam Hughes had a full training camp, I feel like they put her in a bad spot there. You know what I mean? I feel like the UFC knew she would take that fight on short notice, and they put her in a really bad spot because they're trying to make Pinheiro a thing. Stop trying to make Pinheiro a thing. She doesn't need to be a thing. Like, I know she's hot, but let it go. So I really feel like they let Sam Hughes get at that spot, because that was a fight that she could win on a full camp. You know what I mean? So giving Pinheiro a couple of easy legs up. Now she's fighting some harder opponents, and we're seeing what's happening. We're seeing the cream rise to the top, and I don't think that Pinheiro is the cream of the UFC.
Let's go.
All right, I like it. Let's go. And we might have to just sprinkle the round 3, man, because the
round
way
3
Pinheiro,
no, I'm joking.
The way Pinheiro folds on herself, though, man, the way she phones it in, gives up, collapses. I'm like, I feel like Angie could Muay Thai knee this chick. I feel like she could clinch her up and get her out of there in the 3rd round. If she gets tired, Angie will not stop coming forward, man. So I kind of like maybe taking a little bit of a round 3 sprinkle there.
Kind of like the Charles Johnson fight last week, man. We were all hoping for it. I don't know if you were on the round 3 Charles Johnson. I had the little sprinkle, and man, I was hoping.
I've lost too much money on that prop, man. I've bet it like 5 times, and it just keeps whiffing. It's right there, and it just keeps missing. Not doing it.
I do think the over 2.5 will be a popular play this week, though. The fight goes the distance. I'll probably parlay it myself. So I hear what you're saying. And if Hill gets the finish, man, that's just right out the window. I could see people parlaying a lot of the women's fights, to go the distance.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Next up, we've got the return of Adrian Yanez. And I've said it way too many times on this show, man, but this one's pretty simple. He's getting an opportunity to get right against Vinicius Salvador. I've made my thoughts on Vinicius Salvador very clear on this podcast, man. He is not UFC caliber. He's 0-2 in the UFC so far. He is big. He is long. He hits hard. But that's really it. There's not a whole lot of process behind what he does, and he just wants to go in there and trade. He keeps his hands low, and very specifically, man, you go back and you watch his fight with, I want to say it was the CJ Vergara fight. We've already tipped our cap to my boy. Shout out CJ Vergara a couple times here on this show. CJ landed just the nastiest counter left hook on this guy, and it was there all day. But CJ ain't a knockout guy. CJ's a cardio guy. CJ's a wrestler. They're giving Yanez a left hook from hell. They're going, look, you've had a tough schedule. You've had a tough run. You're the A side here. Here's a guy you can knock out. Let's get you back on track. You got to kind of feel for Adrian Yanez. He was just the talk of the town. Kid's got stupid athleticism, great footwork. He's really fast, nasty finishing power. And then the whole thing went down with his gym losing their head coach. Father figure, guy dies. And Adrian Yanez picked up the pieces. You've got this young kid that's in the middle of his fighting prime. just kind of thrown into that coaching role, take over. And I can see that maybe didn't go very well. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not in the camp. I can't speak to specifics or what exactly happened, but going from fighter to coach very suddenly, taking over a business, now you're responsible for a lot of other people. I can see where that could be a problem for your own development. And I think now is about the point in time where we should see him getting things back on track, getting back to making himself the priority. And I think in that kind of a situation, we'll see the revolution, the rise of Adrian Yanez, like the phoenix from the ashes. He'll come back around and be the guy we always knew he could be. It's not like he's old. He's not shot. You want to say he got exposed. I mean, okay, maybe, but Jonathan Martinez just fought Jose Aldo, man. Like, is it that bad of an L to get leg kicked by that guy coming in with a bad game plan? Maybe. Like, okay, you got caught by Rob Font. That's a bad look. I don't think you should be getting knocked out by Rob Font, but it is what it is. So I think this is the get right spot. I think he knocks out Vinicius Salvador, and I think he does it pretty quickly.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't get chinned himself, right? But we didn't see it. We saw it in the Rob Font fight. I think the leg kicks were a thing, but obviously Vinicius Salvador does not throw the leg kicks as hard as Jonathan Martinez. And the thing with the leg kicks, man, is it only takes one or two of them, Clint. You know that. It takes one or two of them, and the fight was over before the knockout actually happened.
Absolutely.
His leg was just absolutely shot. And he's very heavy. He's very heavy boxing because he likes those counters. He likes the in-and-out movement. The only time he didn't get a knockout was against Davy Grant. I think Davy Grant's pretty durable compared to Vinicius Salvador. He's been knocked out in his career before. His wins against Shannon Ross. He's already lost 2 times in the UFC via decision. I think Yanez gets the vicious knockout here. Puts him away.
All right.
Derek Lewis won last week, so Houston's going to get it 2 weeks in a row. Bunch of Texas guys on this card too, but I think this is the main guy that gets the job done. I think Yanez via KO. I think whatever the number is, if it's less than -200, take it. Take it at -200.
Man, I think the KO, you're right. The KO is the money line, right? It's same thing. I don't think this is a decision. -140 Yanez by KO. Frankly, I don't hate it.
Give me that.
Yeah, I know, right? Like he's a 3-1 favorite. Make him a -140, -150. That's fair. I'll take it.
I think the KO prop versus Tony Kelly was like +130, but I mean Tony Kelly, I don't think been knocked out before that, so that's probably why. Whereas Vinicius Salvador has been knocked out before, and he's already lost a couple times in the UFC. Like,
yeah,
give me the KO.
The way he plays with his hands low, he's a sitting duck. They know what they're doing. And if I swear, man, if Yanez has not been checking leg kicks for the last 9 months, like somebody's fired. Somebody ain't doing their job. Yanez is gonna come in and be able to check 1 or 2 leg kicks and then get to work with the hands. Get back on track, kid. Let's go.
I think you made a good point, man. Level of competition. This is just a big step up for Vinicius Salvador and a big step down for Adrian Yanez.
Bro, this is some boxing level shit. We do not see resets like this. The UFC doesn't give people a break. This is straight up throw the kid a bone, get him back on track. Like, we understand it's been tough. We understand you've been fighting tough guys. It's all right.
UFC likes him for sure.
UFC likes him.
They like him, man.
Absolutely. Glad we agree, man. Glad we agree on that one. All right, everybody. We got like 3 more fights left to talk to you about here. Ramiz Brahimaj returns against Themba Gorimbo. And this one is tough for me, JP. This one's real tough for me because last week I made the mistake of parlaying Robeles de España and Despain. I always want to say Despaña. It's like Champagne. Like, I want to say Despaña.
Despaña.
It sounds sexier. Anyway. So I parlayed Robeles with Themba. And my thought process was, even if Robeles, doesn't pay off the price tag, he'll get that knockout. He should win. And then I've got even money on Themba. And Themba should win. I don't like the price tag on him either. But, just win, right? Just pick winners. I'm going to get both these guys to win here. I didn't even research the fight when I made that bet. I just kind of barely looked at it and was like, I think I like this. And I don't usually do that, but I wanted somebody to parlay Robeles with. So I made a call. I did my research. I did the extra legwork. And man, I know why money is coming in on Ramiz Brahimaj. Like, I wrote this kid off as a bum. I really did. And a bum is too strong of a word, but I've bet against him already more than once here in the UFC. I got the Court McGee cash on him. I think I bet Sasha Platnikov against him, so I'm like 1-1 with him here. But this is the guy that got dragged around the cage, got beaten up with elbows, and Max Griffin busted his ear off mid-fight. Like, if you guys are forgetting who we're talking about here. So his stand-up needs a lot of work. Even when he got his ear blown off by an elbow, he didn't give up. Like, it was a TKO stoppage, but he wasn't looking for the door, man. I kind of thought, in the way my brain works, I remembered this kid kind of wilting. I remembered him folding. I thought it was going to be a situation where I could count on somebody to kind of fade in this fight, and he didn't do that. He didn't want out of there. He kept going. And so I think I've kind of rated Ramiz incorrectly in my brain. Now, he hasn't fought since 2022. He found just the perfect opportunity to snipe a short notice fight against a terrible grappler, got the easy peasy win, and then ran off. We haven't seen him for 2 years. So I have no idea what to expect from the guy. I don't know if he dislocated his coccyx or like what caused him to run off for 2 years. Maybe he's just been in the lab developing and he's going to come back and he's going to be a new beast. But at the end of the day, he was a world-class offensive grappler when he left. And watching Themba, he's another weird situation. 33 years old, crazy, freakish athletic. And there's the whole story about Colby, like, guy couldn't afford to eat, so Colby was buying him food and The Rock buying him a house. You know, I feel like I kind of misjudged his situation. I bet against him with Pete Rodrigues last week because I kind of thought that he was maybe a little more grappler than striker, and people were giving him way too much credit for just being big and physical. But the time he has had with a real gym, with a real camp, eating real food, like, does wonders, apparently. When you go from skipping every other meal because you can't afford it to being able to eat steak. This guy looks like he's really filled out his frame. He's healthy. He's happy. He's a good story. But his wins are over Takashi Sato and Pete Rodrigues. I bet on Pete, but I'm not blind to what this guy is. That's not a great run in the UFC. And you look at Takashi Sato, man, Themba had this guy on skates. He had him hurt so badly within like the first 60 seconds of that fight, but he couldn't get the finish. And when he couldn't get the finish, he ended up on bottom. He was in bad positions, and he had to work his way out of them. Now, he did, but that was against Takashi Sato. You know, if you come out here and you try to chin a guy like Ramiz and you don't get that finish, you're going to end up on bottom with this guy. And that's not going to be good. So I'm in this weird position now, man, where I had a parlay last week that is dead. I'm glad it's gone because I don't want to be sweating it right now. And I don't know which side to pick. Because I thought Themba immediately, just first glance, Themba. After research, I think Ramiz is a very live underdog. But the number is not nearly as sexy as it was because a lot of money has come in on Ramiz now that fight week is here and people are doing their homework. He was plus 175. He's down to plus 125. It's one of those spots where I think you could argue that any plus money is good money on Ramiz. And if I'm going to bet a guy like Pete Rodrigues against Themba, I probably should be betting a guy like like Ramiz against Themba, but I'm late to the party. So I'm all tied up in knots in my head right now, man. I need some help. Straighten me out. What do you make of this matchup?
Yeah, your parlay from last week's dead anyway, bro. So it's
gone.
A new week, right?
And
let's just forget about it. We picked them, it was gone. And that's how I kind of feel with Gatto. I didn't really do the research before I bet the fight because I see minus 110 and I'm just going to take it, right? Or if I'm trying to get a parlay and I'm paying 1 week and I'm playing the next week, got to get it in quick. So I see what you were trying to do there. Man, I like Ramiz here. I think I saw some interesting holes in Themba's grappling game against AJ Fletcher. He makes bad decisions. He winds up on bottom. He doesn't know how to get up against from bottom at certain times. And I could see Ramiz getting the sub here. I could even see him getting a positional TKO. I wouldn't count that out either. But I like the money line straight up here, man. Ramiz, once he gets on top, I think Themba's going to give up the position. And people are saying the whole storyline with Themba. But if he loses and he wins a few more, like, it just adds on to the storyline, win or lose for him, I think, right? And I think people are going to be getting in the window with Themba. I think the sharps are on Ramiz here because they see the grappling advantage that Ramiz has. I know he hasn't fought in the best beaten the best competition, but he's fought good competition and he's given a decent account of himself in those spots. So I'm going to go with Ramiz Brahimaj here. I like him as an underdog. I want to see where this line goes. Maybe we'll get some buyback on Themba. I can even see a spot where this line gets back to a pick 'em, and I don't mind it, man. I like Ramiz here. I saw certain spots against AJ Fletcher where he's just holding on to him, bro, from bottom out. Like Kleydson in the grappling, like he just didn't know what he was doing, man. And when I see that, I get very interested because if you're getting me a guy who's going to be on top, not taking damage, he's not taking an overhand right like Pete Rodrigues, who's the lowest level of comp you could be. I think the step up for Themba here, he's going to get beaten. So give me Ramiz Brahimaj at any plus money.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think there, man. I gotta listen to a couple of interviews. I want to see where their heads are at. One of the big things, I want to know why Ramiz disappeared. Because if it's one of those things where, outside of the cage type stuff, injuries, if he's not in a good place, then I definitely don't want to jump in on that side. But we'll just have to kind of wait and see. This one's probably a good one for me to just go ahead and pass on anyway. All right, guys. Next fight up, we have got Khaos Williams coming back, taking on Carlston Harris. And this is the first bet that I made this week. I want to just go ahead and get it right out there. Let it be known. Khaos Williams is the side for me. Not sure what's going on with JB. I think his battery might have died. So we'll see if he can get back in here for this one or not. Might have to wrap the show solo if he can't do it, though. It is what it is. Khaos, the Ox Fighter, guys. I love this guy. I love this guy. We gave him the moniker of the Death Touch, right? This guy has stupid power. Made it to the UFC. Was very, very much a guy that people were looking past. Thought was going to be a little bit of a disappointment, and then he just started starching people. Like this guy absolutely showed out. There we go. We got JB back. We're good.
Yeah, somebody said something about me on my phone, dude. I was just checking the odds, my man.
It's all good, man. It's all good. So Khaos, 30 years old, coming off a 1-year layoff, and I know a lot of people are questioning that, but I will be honest with you guys. Khaos is very smart. Like he definitely is an intelligent man. I heard in an interview after his last fight that he said, I'm going to take some time off and I'm going to make sure that I'm set up for life after fighting. And I'm like, bro, nobody does that. Like UFC fighters these days, no one's thinking post fight career. The fact that this guy went out there and set himself up for life and now is coming back in his prime to take a run at the title, like he made sure if shit goes wrong, he's got an exit strategy. And that's not the same thing as retirement to me. That's not being 1 foot out of the octagon to me. That's being a smart person that wants to have his kids set up for the rest of his life. You know what I mean? I don't knock him for that whatsoever. So he took a break. He now gets himself set up with whatever opportunities he's got going on outside the cage, and he's coming back full bore to try to win himself some UFC gold before the end of his career. Tough run for him in his last couple fights. Randy Brown, split decision. Rolando Bedoya, split decision. He's 1-1 in those, man. And I reran the tape. It's funny. I think he just switched him. I thought he lost the Bedoya fight, and I thought he won the Brown fight. Like, it's super weird that it's 1-1 the opposite direction. Both of them were splits. Both of them were close. I felt like he was far more effective against Randy Brown, landed the bigger shots. He should have gotten the nod there for that one. And then Bedoya just outnumbered him. Bedoya just out-hustled him. He couldn't quite connect with Bedoya, and he still landed over like 130 significant strikes, even missing like half of the strikes he was throwing because of Bedoya's footwork. So he's been off for a while, taking some time. Hopefully we see a better version of him here, still very much in his prime, a guy that can throw over 100 significant strikes, a guy that can sit down on a bomb and starch you with a single shot if he wants to. I like that he's got a very well-rounded and open skill set with those big power shots. Now, Carlston Harris, this guy's 19-5. He's 36 years old. And he's a beast, man. We cashed maybe one of the luckiest bets of my life in his last fight. Jeremiah Wells drags this guy around the cage for about 15 minutes. And then in round 3, he pulls off one of the sickest anaconda chokes ever. I mean, he's gotten whooped in this fight. And it's all Jeremiah Wells, one-sided traffic. But those lanky ass arms, this guy is so long. He knows what he's doing on the ground in a quick little transition, defending a takedown. I didn't think it was possible to choke out Jeremiah Wells. with the way that guy's got no neck, with how much muscle he's got on him, being a black belt, never thought anybody was tapping that guy out. And Carlston Harris found a way to do it. So, like, you've got to give him props. He's got heart. He will hang around. He will never quit on himself. He will find a way to win the fight. But at the same time, he's been chinned a couple of times. And he's older. He's been knocked out in round 1 twice. He had a close back-and-forth striking match with my guy Jared Gooden, which I'm not knocking him for that. I had a bet on Gooden last week at plus odds. I thought he was live in that spot. But he was getting tagged up in that fight a decent little bit, man. You don't want to be tagged up like that against a guy like Khaos. I think Khaos has got a decent power advantage here. He's got strong enough takedown defense. He'll be able to keep this fight standing. And with it standing, I think he's got a pretty big advantage here. So I like Khaos, and I wouldn't be shocked if he gets the knockout. I bet this one at minus 135. What do you think, JB?
Yeah, strong enough takedown defense versus who? That's my thing, right? Who has he fought that has pushed the takedowns like Carlston Harrison might? He's got a good inside trip. Carlston Harris, if he gets that body lock against the cage, he's going to get that trip at a high percentage of times. And I don't know if I like what I see on the ground of Khaos Williams. Like, once he gets down there, I saw him against Michel Pereira, and Pereira was styling on him. That was the one guy that was able to actually get him down out of all of his UFC opponents. And he almost submitted Pereira at the end of the second round.
Is that a knock, though?
Honestly, man, at the time, we didn't really see Pereira grappling people. Who's Pereira honestly subbed?
Well, but I mean, look at him now. He rattled off back-to-back submission wins. The guy is...
Who, though? Ihor Peteria? Come on.
That's up a weight class.
Yeah, and then Michel Olajaychuk, that guy can't grapple worth anything. Zalimi Medayev. You know, I'm just saying, the way he was styling on him, I didn't like what I was seeing. What if he gets put on his back here against Carlston Harris? What if he gives up his neck against Carlston Harris, bro? I think Carlston Harris is live for the submission here, Clint. Khaos Williams, yeah, I like what I see on the feed from him, kind of. But he's really just big bombs, big bombs, big bombs. And you know what happens when people are throwing big bombs? You go right under those big bombs, get right to that body lock, right to that clinch. And I think once he starts to grapple with Khaos, yeah, Khaos is scoring a good takedown defense on the numbers, but I just don't think he's really fought in the best grapplers as of to date. And yeah, sure, Michel Pereira, I'll give him some credit for sure, 100%. But I just didn't like what I saw from Khaos in the reactionary things on the ground. He was just holding on to him, Clint. You know, he was not trying to frame off him, get to a hip, get to a side, entire time, just holding on for dear life, trying not to get ground and pounded, trying not to give up the next position. But he gets mounted eventually anyway. And yeah, I don't know, man. I think Carlston Harris is the best ground game fighter, in my opinion. He's the most opportunistic submission guy that we've seen go up against Khaos Williams by far. So I don't mind the submission prop again. I know I'm going to get whooped on, but this is actually one of my more favorite ones on the card. Khaos Williams either knocks him out or Carlston Harris gets this to the ground. And I think he has the jiu-jitsu that the other opponents didn't have to submit Khaos Williams.
Okay. I think that's fair, man. I really do. It's a close line for a reason. And like I said, with that last fight, right, I was just on Harris when he got that comeback sub. So you can't ever count the guy out. You really can't.
Wells is a black belt too, like a real like high level of black belt. So it's going to be harder to submit that guy than it is Khaos Williams.
Absolutely. No, they're still waking him up, man. That was one of the tightest squeezes I've ever seen. So
out cold.
Yeah. So head to head on this one, all good. Totally get it. I understand the angle. I just think the striking is going to be the difference before it hits the ground, but we'll find out. We'll find out on Saturday. All right, guys, it is main event time, and we are just shy of 700 live viewers. Thank you all so much for hanging out and being here tonight. Edson Barboza returns again. He's taking on Lerone Murphy in the main event of the evening, and I've had such a tough time with this fight, man. This has been so hard for me. So Edson Barboza has all the experience. And you know what I keep saying about Edson? He's taken so much damage. He cuts so much weight. He's so damn old. But it never matters. It never matters. The bro just keeps on winning, and you can't stop him. So this guy has become a measuring stick in this weight class. And his last fight against Youssef absolutely floored me. He was dead to rights in round 1. Absolutely dead. And then punches his way back into that fight, spinning heel kicks Youssef in round 3 and almost knocks his ass out. He has come all the way back and then goes 25 minutes landing bombs with a guy way younger than him, drags him into deep waters and wins a decision. I mean, just impressive as fuck from this guy. I don't know what it's going to take to actually put the nail in the coffin of Edson Barboza. Lerone Murphy, a guy that I've been high on basically his entire UFC career. 13-0 and 1. This is a big step up for my guy, though. So he gets, the easy win over Makwan Murakami, grinds out a nasty fight against Gabriel Santos, and then they give him Josh Kulibau. That's the one that I got a little worried about, man, because Josh Kulibau is underrated as shit. Like, it's hard to look good against that guy. He's good everywhere. He's durable. He's tough. He hits hard. He's willing to brawl. He's there to fight in every single fight. And it seemed like it was a spot they really wanted Lerone Murphy to like show out, but he really didn't. Like, he got clocked with a big counter shot and dropped down to one knee. And it took him hanging on for dear life in the third round, like really having to like force the grappling, take moments to like center himself and catch his breath to win that fight. I'm not sure that Lerone Murphy's cardio works for 25 minutes. That's the thing I'm worried about. We have yet to see him in a 5-round fight. And even though he's been able to go a hard 15 a couple different times, Edson Barboza's got 80% takedown defense. This guy is not an easy man to take down, keep down, and control. So Lerone Murphy has the youth. I can't say he's got the power because it's Edson freaking Barboza. He's got a grappling advantage, but he's fighting a very tough guy to grapple. So I am tentatively picking Lerone Murphy in this spot. And I know it's really shitty to be like, I don't have a bet on the main event because everyone wants to have a pick and a bet on the main event. I think I've got to pass on this one, man. It's a prove it to me spot for Lerone Murphy, but it's such a big step up in competition for him against such a wily veteran that 6-9 months ago, a year ago, is probably a really bad matchup for him. So I'm going to root for Lerone Murphy here, but I don't like anything from a betting perspective at this point. What do you make of this main event?
Dude, Edson Barboza is the man, bro. I love him, dude. His leg kicks are some of the nastiest we've ever seen in the octagon. He's throwing them constantly. Just the whip on some of those things is nasty. Lerone Murphy, yeah, he's fought in good competition, but he fought a close fight with Gabriel Santos, who I do think is good. Don't get me wrong, he's good, but he's good in a 15-minute fight. We haven't seen rounds 4 and 5, and I think if the chin could hold up for Barboza, like it did in the Youssef fight, held up, he got rocked. He got hurt. He was able to stay composed. And it was the experience of Barboza there that really won him that fight. Because he knew if he could stay calm and weather the storm with Sadiq Youssef, he was still in the fight. He still had a chance to win the fight. And that's exactly what he did. And like you said, he even wound up close to finishing that fight with a spinning wheel kick. What guys are at 38 years old throwing spinning wheel kicks? Like you said as well, it's the post-USADA era. He is the Brazilian. We don't know. Maybe it's one of those comebacks for a guy. We just saw it for Diego Ferreira versus a young guy like Rebecca. Lerone Murphy doesn't really have the stopping power that I would say a guy like Sadiq Youssef has either. Like Youssef has more finishing ability, more finishes on his record, especially in round 1, compared to a guy like Lerone Murphy, whose only really UFC finishes are Makwan and Murakami. And I was on him to win by KO there because I knew in round 2 it was going to be all Lerone Murphy from there, Clint. Like, I knew it was going to be Lerone Murphy because Makwan and Murakami is just going to fall off a cliff, whereas Edson's not going to fall off that cliff. But it's his chin that worries me. He even got knocked down by Bryce Mitchell, who's not a striker, but used that takedown threat to, set up the overhand right. And, he cracked him there. But if the chin holds, I think he's gold because I just don't know how Lerone's going to hold for 25 minutes. And as you said, he did give up moments in the Kulibau fight, was dropped there. I think Barboza is a much more dangerous striker, Clint. Like 100%, the more dangerous striker. So, yeah, give me the durability of Barboza to hold here, and I'd be on him. But like you said, everybody wants to have a bet on the main event, but sometimes it's not good to have a bet on the main event, right? Because the bookmakers are always going to be sharper on those fights. They're always going to have – that's not to say that you can't find an edge. You can't find an edge on the market. If it's there, it'll be there, but it's going to be a little bit harder because the books are going to be paying attention more to those fights than, let's say, a prelim that's taken a little bit less action.
Absolutely. So we'll see where I end up, man. Like I said, big fan of Lerone. Been on him a lot recently. This run that he's been on, I've cashed a lot of tickets. So, it might be a spot where I ride or die. It might be a spot where I just straight up pass. I'm going to have to sit with this one and we'll take a look. But honestly, I wouldn't mind violence. I wouldn't mind an under in this fight because either you get Lerone finishing what Youssef couldn't quite do, or you get a guy who's exposed, can't get the takedowns, gets tired, and then gets starched by the biggest hitter in the division deep in the fight. So
like 4 or 5 Barboza.
I could see late rounds for Barboza, and I could see early rounds for his opponent Murphy here. So I'm curious. Let me pull this up, guys, and see what total we've got sitting here. It's a 3.5. 3.5. So I would like.
Where are you
I would
seeing
like
3?
a 4.5.
Okay.
DraftKings has 3.5.
Okay, so Bet Online, we're sitting 4.5 under -150. That's what I'm seeing.
I like that. I like fight doesn't go the distance. I like under
it's
4.5.
Literally, yeah, dude. Fight doesn't go the distance is -140. Does that even make sense?
No, it doesn't. Not even a little.
Okay, wait. Am I tripping, or is that not right? Fight.
That's hilarious.
Okay.
They did that. They did that with Derek Lewis's money line last week, didn't they? Where the knockout was like -160, but his money line was like -145 still.
Yeah. What's the Barboza round 4 KO is sitting at 1650? That seems a little weak. 2250. All right. Those are weird numbers. I never see a 50 on those. Okay.
The 50 is odd. The 50 is really weird,
right? What's going on there?
No clue. All right. Well, there you guys go. That was UFC Vegas 92. Hopefully you got some info out of this thing. Hopefully we helped you make some good, solid bets. We've been on a good run lately. The reads have been right there. Coming off 2 really big weeks and then a very small dip last week. Hopefully we can end strong before this 1 week break that we've got coming up here. Real quick, JB, before I wrap this up, I do have something though that has been burdening me. I've got something on my chest that I've got to get out because UFC ain't the only show in town this week. There's a PFL card on Friday. It's a Bellator card that's on Friday. And I really don't think people understand the bantamweight division. They just don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're talking about when it comes to bantamweights, okay? And so I'm going to do you a favor, and I'm going to rank the best bantamweight fighters on the planet, okay? Coming in at number 5, you've got Petr Yan, former UFC champion, a guy that fell on hard times, had a couple of losses go the wrong way, had the phantom knee with, Aljamain Sterling that really messed him up and set him back. But we just saw that he's reestablished himself. He's still one of the elite guys. He is working his way back up. I wouldn't be shocked at all if he fights for UFC gold again before it's all said and done. Top 5 guy, absolutely deserves to be up there, and he's always going to be in the mix. Number 4, Sean O'Malley. That's right. I said the current seeded champion is ranked number 4 in the world at bantamweight. The UFC have protected their golden boy. He's done some amazing things, but he got perfect matchmaking all the way up to his title run. And now he's going to face some monsters that are going to expose the weakness in his game, and he's not going to be able to hang. Number 3, Merab Dvalishvili, the guy who's going to unseat Sugar Sean O'Malley. You cannot stop the machine. His cardio is unlimited. This man is going to run through you and drag you to the mat. And every time you try to get up, he's going to smother you and put you back down on your ass. You know what side I'm on when they match up Merab versus Sean O'Malley. I will be betting the machine. And number 2, Oumar Nurmagomedov, the second best bantamweight on planet Earth. He is better than Sean O'Malley. He is better than Merab. I am going to have so much money on him against Corey Sandhagen. He's going to run through y'all's favorite bantamweight who isn't even ranked in the real top 5 bantamweight rankings in the world. Oumar is going to take gold in this weight class. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. He's either doing it by the end of the year or first quarter of 2025. Oumar is going to have that belt wrapped around his waist. Now, you might be going, Clint, that's confusing. You just took the UFC champion, the number 1 and number 2 contenders, and we're still only at number 2 in the world. And you're not wrong. That's because the number 1 bantamweight on planet Earth is Patchy Mix, the champion of Bellator. This man could transfer over to the UFC today, and he would take out any one of these guys. He's a physical freak who's got insane power on the feet, one of the slickest jiu-jitsu games you'll ever see. And even with the belief that I have in Oumar Nurmagomedov and his wrestling ability, Patchy Mix would hurt this kid. That man is the best bantamweight on the planet. And guys, a couple weeks ago, I parlayed Yasmin Lucindu. I parlayed her with everybody on the card, and I just used her to bring down the price tags of other people who I liked so that we could pile up the units in a spot that worked out spectacularly. 7 units of profit just using Yasmin Lucindu to get better numbers on other spots that I liked. We're going to do that with Patchy Mix this week, JP. I like a lot of these favorites on this card. They are maybe a little bit too wide of favorites, but I'm just going to parlay the fuck out of Patchy Mix because he is retaining his belt on Friday, and there's not a damn thing anybody can do to stop him. So I'm going to parlay Patchy Mix with Piero Rodrigues. I'm going to parlay Patchy Mix with Emily Ducote. I'm going to parlay Patchy Mix with Tom Nolan. I'm going to parlay Patchy Mix with Abus Magomedov. And all of these minus 200, minus 300 price tags, they're all going to be sitting down around minus 115 for me. And I'm going to scoop a bag on Saturday thanks to your seated champion, Patchy freaking Mix. Let's go. This ends your PSA on bantamweight rankings. I don't know if you've got anything to tell the people on Bellator before we hit the door, man, but that's the take right there. Patchy Mix, parlay piece all day.
Yeah, I mean, dude, he made me money against Rafion Stotts. That was like one of the easiest. It was a plus 100, right? That was one of the easiest bets I ever cashed because he knocked him out literally with a high knee in the first minute of the fight. I don't even think it took a minute or even close to that. So, yeah, he's got a soft spot in my heart. But minus 2 something, I'm going to have to take a look into it first, right? That's all I'm going to say. I have to look into it myself, do my due diligence, because I do love Patchy Mix. But now we're talking about a different price point. Everybody's on the train now. You got to slow down. You got to say, all right, what am I missing? Am I not missing anything? All right, if I'm not missing anything like I think I am, right? When I know from these two guys, I'm going Patchy Mix. So I'm willing to put him in the parlay. But I need to do my due diligence. Before the end of the week, I'm going to do so. So follow me at MMA Line Mover on X. I guess it's X now, bro. I don't like X, bro.
I still call it Twitter.
Right, bro. Let's just call it Twitter. I'm on at MMA Line Mover on Twitter. You get on there and just follow me there. Make sure you're subscribed to Homo Fight. I follow them on Instagram, bro. They some of my favorite posts on there. So follow them on IG as well. Because the
IG game is strong. Thank you.
Yeah, I like them. There's a few different channels. I'm not going to mention them here because we don't do that. We don't station. We don't shout out the other channels on a different channel. So it's only Homo Fight over here, baby.
Good deal, man. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. You guys make sure you check out JB. Make sure you check out the Parlay Madness show that he does with our guy, Lucrative MMA. One of the most fun shows of the week that I got to check every single time. Appreciate you guys all being here and hanging with us. We got a week break after this one, guys. We got a week off. So, I know this one is a stinky, smelly dumpster that is on fire, but we got to enjoy it while we can. But then we'll be right back with some more MMA action, a nice long run after that. So got to hit the reset button, take a week off, enjoy it. But let's cash some tickets this week before we go ahead and do that. Get out there, guys. Have a great week. Cash some tickets on the other shit that you bet on. Hockey, playoffs, MLB, good shit. And we'll see you soon. Total Takedown Thursday, undefeated post-weigh-in show Friday. Let's roll.